Hello, everyone. This is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts, and this is a Q&A episode, so let's actually get started, shall we? So, Luke Zilla, your questions. Did marine reptiles like Tyrannosaurus and Mosasaurus use death rolls? This is a good question. And so, many of you that don't know about what a death roll is. So, crocodiles, like saltwater crocodiles, Nile crocodiles, even American alligators came in. They use death rolls. It's basically a way to rip pieces of flesh off of their prey. So that way they can actually swallow it. Because crocodiles can't rip flesh just by actually just pulling necessarily. Because sometimes the tissue is actually attached and, like, say, they need a limb to get off, like they need to eat a limb off of a prey item. They'll use a death roll to actually, break the bones, break the ligaments and the tissue, and this basically they can eat it. So could mosasaurs do this? Based on their body design, I probably would say no, because I don't think their swimming style would actually be like that. I think mainly crocodiles can do it. But in terms of mosasaurs, probably not. Could they possibly have done it? Maybe, but I think it's a slight chance that they did it. Not very often. I'd probably say that whatever their prey items really were pretty much going to be anything that was going to fit in their mouths. And so they were not really going to go after something that's bigger than themselves. They wouldn't do that that much necessarily. So, like, say, Tyrannosaurus, for example, it probably did eat Archelon, but the thing is that it probably only had to take out the flippers and probably had to do something to actually handle the shell of Archelon. But let's face it, Archelon probably had a little bit more of a leathery shell, but it probably did have some vulnerabilities to Mosasaurs. But Mosasaurs were more likely going to be, like, eating the young, more likely. But, yeah, I mean, there's a possibility it could do that, but it's very, very slim. So I'd probably say they didn't do that much. Your next question. Could a Rancor from Star Wars survive in the Cretaceous period? I think yes, but Tyrannosaurus would be the biggest problem. With a Star Wars creature like the Rancor, and it's probably going to be, like, I want to say it would actually be the size of it's tough to figure out how big a Rancor really is. I guess it's like at least the size of a T-Rex, or otherwise maybe the size of Camarasaurus. But in terms of height, but I probably would say that it would survive for a small amount of time. But like you said, the Tyrannosaurus would be the problem. Tyrannosaurus would be the biggest problem, even though the Rancor's got powerful arms and those big claws. I'd probably say if it was a pack of T-Rex, like, say, a male and a female Rex, like, a Rancor is going to have a hard time being able to, like, focus on either one of them. It would probably focus on one, but the thing is, the other one's going to do a lot of damage to, like, say, the hind limbs, because that's where the T-Rexes need to attack. They need to attack the hind limbs to get it down, and that's how you probably have to take it down. But, the Tyrannosaurus would actually be the biggest problem for the Rancor, but I think it could. I think it could survive for a good period of time, but until the Tyrannosaurus came along, then that's probably the end of the Rancor. And so like you kind of tell, me and Luke are a little bit more like pretty much Star Wars fans. Your next question. Could the shark Bruce from Jaws survive in the Western Interior Seaway, also known as Hell's Aquarium? In my opinion, probably not, because it would get eaten by Tyrannosaurus. Yes, I agree with you. I can see Bruce, or otherwise, which is the mechanical shark that is in Jaws. Because remember, Jaws was was released in 1975. In 1975, they didn't have CGI, so they had to use practical effects, and Bruce was the mechanical shark. But in the movie, it wasn't called Bruce. It was just it's just basically the big great white shark, or just Jaws. But yeah, a 20 to 25 foot great white shark, could it survive in the Western Interior Seaway? No, not a chance. Especially with the Mosasaurs that were around, especially mainly like Tyrannosaurus, we would stand no chance. But also, there's Cretoxyrhina, though, too. There's another shark that is actually as big or slightly bigger than a great white shark, and that's Cretoxyrhina, or the Ginsu shark. The Ginsu shark would actually be a problem for Jaws or Bruce. That would also be the problem for Bruce. But yeah, the great white shark and Jaws would not survive in the Western Interior Seaway. Not a good chance. Nicholas, your questions. Is it confirmed that both Sue and Scotty are male or female T-Rexes? Because if females were larger than the male T-Rexes, would there be a lot of these larger T-Rex fossils? And I believe that both male and female T-Rexes are the same size, with some individuals larger than most. So with Sue and Scotty, they have not done any testing about these. Because remember, it's hard to determine a gender of a dinosaur. The only time that you could actually tell is if there is medullary bone fossilized. The medullary bone is a very soft looking like a bone that is mostly found in female birds when they're about to start developing eggs. So that's how that happens. And so there's only been one T-Rex that has actually had that, and that's a T-Rex that was found in Montana, and it's housed in the Museum of the Rockies. Yeah, that's the only T-Rex that we can know if it was a female. Based on size, to determine a male or female is very, very tough with fossilized animals. It's very, very tough because we don't know, say if there's like a certain type of weight to determine if they're male or female. Like maybe with some dinosaurs, the crests or the horns are larger, to suggest that could be a male. Body size could determine, but that's really, really difficult. Because see, the body size thing that was done by Peter Larson back in the 90s, and that gained traction throughout the late 90s into the early 2000s. But it was right around the mid 2000s that was debunked, because that you can't determine a fossil based on fossil animal's gender based on size alone. You just can't do it. But I agree with you that male and female T-Rexes were probably more likely the same size. It's just that there's going to be some that are ones that are bulky, and there's going to be some that are going to be more gracile. And so that will determine which one could be male or female, but we don't know that yet. Your next one, how is it, did Torosaurus live in herds, or were they solitary, or was it like its relative Triceratops that it was probably both social and solitary? There has not been any studies about this that I know of, but my guess is it's probably a bit of both. Is that maybe the males tend to usually be on their own, whereas the females and the young kind of stay together a little bit. But that's still hard to determine whether if Torosaurus was a herding animal or not. My guess is it's more likely going to be on the both side, but more likely on the solitary. Could Edmontosaurus get as large as Shantungosaurus, the largest known hadrosaur? Because I have heard that some Edmontosaurus fossils are up to 49 feet long. That is kind of stretching it there. But it is kind of like the thing that paper about T-Rexes could be 70% bigger, but that could be stretching it a bit. 49 feet long for Edmontosaurus. That could that be a possibility? Yes, but is it likely that we're going to find that fossil? More likely not. It's hard to find something that would be that big, especially in the late Cretaceous in North America. Could there have been an Edmontosaurus that was 50 feet long? Maybe, but we don't know if we're going to find that yet. Maybe that dinosaur didn't fossilize. I mean, I'd probably say that the safest bets for Edmontosaurus length is going to be at 40 feet. That's more likely going to be the case. Now, with bone size alone, it would actually be very difficult to determine that. It would be very difficult to determine that because, if it's like a couple of vertebrae that has been found, and they estimated the size of this dinosaur to be like you said, 49 feet. If it's only 2 vertebrae, that's still not enough. You need more than 2, more than 2 or 3. You need a dozen. You probably need a dozen vertebrae to actually determine that. And it does not have to be tail vertebrae. It could actually be vertebrae, say from the thoracic to the cervical or the neck. That sort of thing. But we need a skull. We need lined up vertebrae to determine the length of an animal. In terms of height, we need the hind limbs to determine the height. And that's how you determine that. But with Edmontosaurus, we have some complete specimens. We have some complete specimens of Edmontosaurus, but the thing is, 49 feet does seem to be stretching it a bit. Your next question. Could Ice Age cave lions and American lions hunt in groups or prides like modern African lions? I'd say cave lions is a possibility that did. American lions, that is very hard to determine that right now. Because we only seen individual specimens of the American lion. So maybe the American lion was more solitary. Whereas cave lions probably did live in small groups. They probably lived in small groups, not large groups like certain types of lion prides. I just mainly say that they're probably more likely going to be small groups. Because there is finds of groups of cave lions in caves that have been fossilized to showcase that they did probably live in groups. They were more like family groups than anything else, not really different individuals living alongside each other. It's just mainly going to be family groups. So I think cave lions probably did. American lions, we don't have enough evidence yet to determine if they actually did live in groups. More likely right now they're actually solitary. Have you heard of this armored dinosaur called Denversaurus sclesmani? Butchered it a little bit. That lived in the Hell Creek alongside Ankylosaurus, and that it is the last surviving Nodosauridae. Yes, I've heard of this dinosaur, and it is found in the Hell Creek Formation. I believe, from my understanding, that yes, it is one of the last dinosaurs. It lived alongside Ankylosaurus, Triceratops, Torosaurus, Edmontosaurus, Dakotaraptor, and T-Rex. So yeah, it is part of that. There is a Denversaurus that is on display in the Houston Museum of Natural Sciences that actually has a skeleton of Denversaurus there. I think the Denver Museum of Nature and Science does also have this one as well. I think the Museum of the Rockies probably has a couple of specimens, fossilized specimens of Denversaurus. I don't know if there's any other museums that actually do have Denversaurus, but yeah, I've heard of this dinosaur. But I would have to do a little bit more research on where some Denversaurus skeletons are on display. But yeah, I've heard of this dinosaur. All right, Alex, you got a couple questions for me. Do you think that Iguanodon used the thumb spike as a defensive weapon against predators that hunted Iguanodon? Did it do it? Maybe. but it's more likely going to run away. I'd probably say Iguanodon is more likely going to run away than anything else. But because besides the thumb spike, it really doesn't have any defensive weaponry, so it probably had to use a little bit of agile moves to be able to outmaneuver the predator, and probably use its tail to actually give the predator a whack to give it a little bit more distance. But the thumb spike would probably be the last resort. So could it do it? Maybe. That's hard to determine that right now, but they probably did have the musculature to be able to do it, to lift up their arm to go right towards the neck of the predator. That's possibly a chance that they could do that. Your next question: Utah Raptor versus Achillobator versus Dakota Raptor. Who do you think will win? This is a really good battle here. Utah Raptor, Achillobator, and Dakota Raptor. These are one of the largest. These are the three largest raptors. And so, out of all of them, I would probably say Achillobator has the agility. Utah Raptor has the power. Dakota Raptor would probably have more faster abilities. I would say Dakota Raptor had speed, Achillobator had agility, whereas Utah Raptor had power. This one's hard. That one's hard. I'd probably say Achillobator would probably lose first. I think Achillobator would lose first. Then it would just be down to Dakota Raptor and Utah Raptor. But I gotta go with Utah Raptor in this one. Utah Raptor's stronger. It's a stronger raptor, and also it's a heavyweight. It's the heavyweight of the raptors, and are you gonna bet on the lightweight and the middleweight to go up against the heavyweight? Not really, because the lightweight and the middleweight are gonna be faster in terms of their legs and all that, and more agile than the heavyweight, but they're not gonna do that much in terms of a punch against the heavyweight. And so, yeah, I'd probably say the heavyweight wins this one. All right, last questions from Benjamin. Why did sauropods have a big claw on each forelimb? This is a good question. I think it's more due for, say, weight support, but could they use it? Could they use it? I think they probably did. I think it's probably was used more likely to, dig. I think they were used for digging than anything else. But who knows what else they were used for, but more likely for digging. Why did Tenontosaurus have a really long tail? More likely for, say, communication with, other members of the species. Because, why not actually have a tail that is actually that long to be able to actually communicate with others? But also for defense. It could be a defensive weapon, too, using kind of like a baseball bat. If you got a predator, you want to whack it and give yourself some more distance to be able to get away from the predator. Because the predators that Tenontosaurus lived alongside with is Acrocanthosaurus and even Deinonychus. And more likely, Deinonychus is going to have some more trouble against Tenontosaurus. But it's been done before but Deinonychus can handle its own, but mainly for if it was living with a group, that it could actually take down a Tenontosaurus. But Acrocanthosaurus has a much better shot at actually taking down a Tenontosaurus, but a good swipe at the face of Acrocanthosaurus, Tenontosaurus could get further distance away from Acrocanthosaurus. But I think it's more for defense and also communication, but also display structure too. Does Majungasaurus have the strongest jaws of all the belosaurs? I think it did, but even though that it's hard to determine bite force right now with the belosaurs, I think Carnotaurus, even though it has a large skull, but its lower jaw is kind of small and thin. I don't think they were using that much bite force to begin with to actually take down their prey. I think they were more likely just to pin the prey down, grab onto the prey, pin it down, and basically, use their legs to keep the prey down, and then use like bites to actually like let the prey bleed. But with Majungasaurus, its jaws are actually are a little bit larger than Carnotaurus and Rugops and some other Abelisaurs. I'd probably say, yeah, it probably did have a much stronger bite force compared to other Abelisaurs. But what is the bite force? We don't know. We do not know. And who would win, Stegosaurus or Ornitholestes? So two small dinosaurs. They're more likely from different time and different like parts of the Cretaceous. Because I think Ornitholestes is from China, and also Stegosaurus has been found in North America. They're small dinosaurs, but I'm going to have to go with Stegosaurus because Stegosaurus has got the ability to use that head. It's going to use that head to use for defense. Ornitholestes can do some damage, but it's not going to do enough. It's not going to be enough against Pachycephalosaur like Stegosaurus. So I go Stegosaurus on this one. So that's all the questions I got for you today. Next week will be a special episode. I'll let you guys know what kind of prehistoric item I'm going to talk about, so stay tuned for that. More likely on Sunday or Monday, I'll let you guys know. And you can still send me questions about dinosaurs and other prehistoric life by emailing me at dinochris71@gmail.com, or just go to my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, you actually post your questions in the comments section. Please put them in the comments section. Don't put them on Messenger. Messenger is a private conversation, so please put your questions in the comments section on any Facebook post. And also for YouTubers out there, feel free to leave your questions in the comments section because I do read them all. Your questions mean a lot on these Q&A episodes. All of you that are sending me questions via email, Facebook, and YouTube. You guys are awesome. You're giving me some great questions for these Q&A episodes. Keeps me going, keeps me doing more research and all that sorts of stuff. And keep up the great work and all that. You guys are giving me some great questions for these Q&A episodes. And also make sure you keep your questions short to the point. You can also follow me on Instagram at dino.chris.pf. I post pretty cool stuff on there. And also go follow me on Threads. Same thing, at dino.chris.pf. I post pretty cool stuff on there as well. Also, take care of the people around you. And also for your younger people out there, and make sure you listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you can have. A good education. It's very important to have a good education. Because with a good education, you get a good job in the future. That's it for now, and I'll see you guys next time.